Should we roll?
Let's roll. Let's do it.
Should I do the intro again?
What one am I looking at?
You can look wherever you want.
Well,
I think that one's gonna pick you up.
Is it?
I don't
That's
know.
only got me. That's definitely not getting you.
Exactly.
So that one's on both me and you, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's your camera. All right, here we go. Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to another episode of the 3 More Points podcast. I thought, what is the point in doing beers with the boys when some of you probably can't even drink them anyway? Plus, if we're recording after a weekend of football where we've been out on the beers, going back into it on Tuesday.
Too many beers over the weekend, mate.
I don't know about you lot, but
Mate.
the last two weekends.
I'm still recovering now from two. The problem is, guys, in Bali, the games start late. So the Arsenal game was 11:30. The United Everton game was 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So we were leaving the pub at 4:30 in the morning.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And mine was, 11 or 10 on Saturday night for Chelsea
Yeah.
Wolves.
And then Tottenham Brighton afterwards.
Yeah,
So,
it's a mashup. If we drink on the weekends and have late nights on the weekends, we can't be doing it on a Tuesday recording. But 3 More Points, obviously, is the podcast name from months ago. You lot watching all remember that we did 3 More Points. We had, I think, Eunice on, Jan on, and I think Matisse on. I think I did 3 episodes or maybe 4. But we're back now. Obviously,
with the Bali
Josh and Guy, Arsenal fans. So, of course, there will be a predominant Arsenal theme as well as Chelsea. We've got 5 different topics today. It should be 3, really. But, well, there is kind of 3 because we've got Chelsea are on a roll under Graham Potter.
boys. Annoyingly.
Big time. We've got Aubameyang's comments on Arteta, which is obviously a perfect segue into talking about the Arsenal 3-2. And we've got to talk about Kante as well.
Yeah,
I
rumours.
don't want to do this one, but Josh is adamant that we've got to discuss Kante to Arsenal. And then we're going to talk Arsenal-Liverpool. And then, can anyone catch Man City? But at the moment,
Obviously Arsenal.
you boys can, for sure.
Well, they're catching us right now.
And that's actually the thing that Arsenal getting disrespected about.
Exactly.
Because you are top of the league.
All right, well, can we change that to can anyone catch Arsenal?
Can anyone... Okay, fine. Can anyone catch Arsenal is the new reiterated point at the start of this video. But we'll start with Chelsea. Graham Potter is clicking things together now, isn't he? Would you say that the last 2 games, the 2 3-0 wins, have kind of made it look as though Chelsea are back in, I'm not going to say the race, but a race for something?
For top 4.
Not so smug, isn't they?
Not the league, but yeah, no, obviously before he came in, we were saying ourselves, like, what a manager. We were expecting big things from him. But yeah, he's shown straight away at Chelsea, come in against Palace as well, got the win there.
Yeah. I mean, you know, 2 massive wins. The Milan game was huge. You know, you lose that, then there's a real good chance you're going out.
Yeah.
You know, and then he obviously rested a lot of players on Saturday for the Wolves game. I watched it, and you're all over them. You battered them, to be fair, from the first minute.
Yeah.
They
to
were
the last.
poor, though,
the
to
whole
be
game.
honest.
They were pretty shit.
It was a combination of both. Wolves poor, yeah. Chelsea played well, but you can just see from like chances being created like from minute 1 really. After 20 minutes, you're like, yeah, Chelsea are gonna just roll these over here.
They had half a chance, Wolves, after about, I think it's about 15, 20 minutes, with Costa went through and he dinked it.
Yeah.
And
was
it
nervy.
didn't score. But then, yeah, it was one of those, I think, as soon as you got that first goal, it was pretty comfortable, and, you know...
Just a case of our money after that, really, weren't it?
And to rest the players you did, and to come out with a good performance, not necessarily... Because I'd imagine Potter would be, do you know what, we just want to get a win here. You know, resting a few players. But then to come out with a decent performance and a 3-0 win, yeah, it's a little bit worrying, I'm not going to lie.
I think the goal before half-time was perfect, but the natural Chelsea in the past year or so, if we're dominating a game like we were first half, but then it's still 0-0, I am not confident going into that second half. That goal changed everything, to be honest.
A lot.
And it was a good goal as well, because I
was a
think
good goal.
it was the opposite of what we saw towards the end of Tuchel's reign, which was very horizontal football. That was vertical passing, vertical running, overlapping runs, but players actually being there ready to receive the ball before the Wolves' defence could catch up, which again I think is part of what you said. Wolves weren't at it, but then they've not been at it for a very long time. I think they've probably been, I think it's the worst performing team in the league in this year, calendar year that is.
They don't look good. I think one thing I like about Havertz, he is good in the air. Like, a lot of people talk
that's
about
a brilliant
him,
header.
a lot about him on the
goal,
floor,
good
but he's a
goal.
big old boy, and he does... I've seen him score a few headers now. I think, you know, get some more balls into the box. But again, is he going to be that number 9, or is he going to be more of the number 10?
I don't think he played awfully well. if I'm honest. It's a brilliant goal.
It was a good goal.
But he doesn't act like a number 9, which is why I think we don't score enough goals, because I think defenders know that just to put pressure on him, even when he's approaching the box, he doesn't necessarily have that instinctive, like, for example, Haaland, right?
Yeah,
you
no,
look
of
at
course.
all of those goals he's scored, he's in the same spot every single time the ball hits the back of the net. He's about 6 yards out and he's hit it under the keeper, or he's 2 yards out and he's latched onto a phenomenal pass from one of the plethora of City players who could put it on a flipping dinner plate.
Isn't it? It is disgusting.
Yeah. But then Broja as well. That
Good
was a
goal.
great goal.
I tell you what, he's a handful.
He is.
He is a real handful, and again, he's a big old boy. Where's he? He's at Albania. Was he?
Yeah, I think he's Albanian, grew up in Slough though.
Oh,
He
right,
sounds like a proper Londoner, to be fair, if you listen to
I
his
think
interview.
he's going to get chances for sure this season. Like Aubameyang, he's not going to start every game, I don't think. So I think between all three of them, Havertz, Broja and Aubameyang, it's going to get shared about. And
they're all scoring now.
yeah, they've all...
It's a good goal.
Yeah,
that was.
basically.
He
I
took
think-
that really, really well.
Havertz 2 and 3, Aubameyang 2 and 3, and Broja obviously just got his first one, but I mean he's hardly getting many minutes, so you can't really judge the output numbers yet, really, because he's not getting starts.
That's all he can do, isn't it? It's all he can do is come on and make an impact, which he did. You know, he took the goal well, finished it well. He did well at Southampton, but he had a little spell, didn't he, with like 4 or 5 games where he banged a few in.
Yeah, he played brilliantly against Spurs too, which I absolutely loved.
Yeah, well, then he straight away goes up in my estimation.
Anyone who does that, we all know. This is the one universal
Yeah.
truth in this room. We bloody hate them lot. But yeah, Broja, what do we say in terms of goal output between Aubameyang, Broja and Havertz? Between those three, how many goals are they going to have to score for Chelsea to be really mounting a challenge? Or do you think there is other players on the pitch who are going to be able to offer enough so that we don't have to rely on the forwards?
I think you're looking at like 30 goals combined.
10 each. Havertz has not managed 10 yet
Yeah.
in a season in the Prem.
For me, like I rate Havertz a lot. I think he's a brilliant footballer.
I slated him last time and then he went and scored that weekend.
like,
Last time we were in here.
I said, yeah, like for Germany as well, he gets goals. He plays number 9 for Germany quite a bit now as well. He's not an out-and-out number 9 like a Haaland or anything. I just think he's a fantastic footballer. So he can play there.
Yeah.
And if he is there, I think he will do a job. But he's not going to get as many goals.
Yeah.
He's a better number 10 than a number 9.
Yeah,
But
it's difficult for any team to win a league without a centre forward or a player getting maybe 20 league goals.
Currently now, yeah. I mean, look at Tottenham
Right.
even. Kane and Son can score as many as they want, but like they're still not getting close.
No, and when obviously Liverpool won the league, Salah banged in over 20. You've got Haaland's going to bang in over 20. Can Jesus be that person for us who can bang in over 20? Aubameyang started well. Can he get you 20 goals? I don't know. But I think it's difficult without one of your main men going and scoring 15, 20 to go on and really push the league.
it's okay
Yeah.
if you can share the goals around like 3 other players.
There's definitely
and
goals
you're all
in the
getting
team.
10 each, but for me, I'm like looking and who's going to get the numbers?
That's the
Like,
biggest question
is
I've
Mount
got.
going to get 10 goals?
Maybe
like-
Sterling, but then again,
Yeah.
Sterling. It's like at the moment we're seeing different formations from Potter. Like sometimes you've got a left winger, a right winger, and a forward. Then it looks as though you've got 2 forwards, but then there's also massive rotation. Like to make 7 changes in only your first 2 Premier League games, you've got
Yeah.
a team against Palace who, yeah, okay, we didn't play very well, but relied on a moment of brilliance from Gallagher to get the win, but it's still a win.
I tell you
Very good
what,
goal.
I really like Gallagher. I
Yeah.
really liked him at Palace, and I really liked. I thought he was brilliant again on Saturday. His
Yeah.
energy.
He's tenacious.
It's,
That's what
and
it is. He's just like everywhere.
Yeah.
It's honestly he's like Kante to some extent the way he runs around the pitch, and we'll talk about him later. But you know, he just covers every blade of grass. He's got good quality. Really rate him. Really like him.
I like the way his spatial awareness for a midfielder who's still kind of trying to. I don't think we know what his best position is. I think he could do a 10. He's not going to at Chelsea because there's already many people ahead of him.
I think
Could
more
be
of
an 8, could be a
I
6
think an 8
perhaps.
just his energy.
Yeah,
Like, he
yeah, it
doesn't
has
give
to be.
anyone time on the ball. Like that's the thing. When he loses the ball, his energy just to get the ball back.
Yeah.
And immediately putting the other team under pressure. And I think even when Arsenal played Palace last year, Selhurst Park, and
He was
we
brilliant,
got
wasn't he?
beat. Yeah.
He was brilliant. But I think one question to you is: you've made 7 changes. Does that also create a problem? Because if you make 7 changes and you don't play well, you get the win, and you can kind of revert back to that Milan side, and you say
Yeah.
that's our strongest 11. there was probably 3 or 4 candidates on Saturday who've put their hat in the mix and gone, do you know what? We should be starting in this team. Do you know, does that create a headache for Potter?
I think it creates a headache, but I think, and also one of the things that Tuchel was struggling with towards the end was there were evidently some players who were not getting a sniff, who were getting pissed off. And the moment you start pissing people off because they're either not coming on when we're losing games, like, for example, Hakim Ziyech, we might be losing a game or drawing a game, and you'd like to think, from what we've seen of Ziyech in the past, that he'd be someone, when you need a little creative spark, who might be brought on. He's also, like we said before, he's a mood player, he's a moody player. So then when he doesn't come on, it's like, well, of course you're going to start to get little pockets of the dressing room getting a little bit peed off, say it again, with Thomas Tuchel. But I think what Potter's done quite well, and I think the reason we went with 3 at the back against Milan is because we know every game Milan are going to play with a flat back 4. And I think Potter's smart enough to know that with that kind of game in the Champions League, you know exactly what you're going to come up against. And obviously, I'll probably upload this tomorrow after the Milan game, but I don't expect there to be any difference in the formation and tactical approach from AC Milan. So it's like Graham Potter, in his time at Brighton, was known for being able to adapt formation, adapt personnel, adapt tactics, dependent on who Brighton were up against, which is why they did so well against the big teams. So I think, you know, players, obviously with a new manager, when you're winning like we're doing now, 3 on the spin, there is a bounce, there is an energy in the dressing room where people are going to be happy regardless of whether they're the ones constantly being picked.
At the same time as well, like Potter for now, he doesn't know his best 11.
No, which you wouldn't expect him to.
Exactly, he's just come in, he's still finding out about these players, formations, everything, getting to know the players, how they can play. So in the next coming weeks, there will probably be a lot more changes, and probably won't start seeing a solid 11 until 3-4 weeks.
And this will also raise the question. Right now, every player is happy, right? Because they're getting a look in and they're getting chances. It'll be interesting to see how that really, second half of the season, when you've got, say, a Champions League quarter-final or a Champions League semi-final, when you're having to drop certain players, that's then going to be the real question mark for me about Potter. Can he handle those moments? Can he handle dropping Aubameyang, say, in a Champions League semi-final?
Agreed.
Because, you know, it's all right dropping them for Wolves at home, but if you've got a Champions League semi-final, the players are not going to be happy if they're not starting.
I was going to say, I love how anticipation-wise, Josh is like, could make it there.
Well,
no,
you know.
For tonight's a big game for them, and if they come through Milan tonight, and if they win, then he's going to have another 2 games. You'd think they'd qualify if they win tonight for sure.
Well, I'd have thought we'd have beaten both Zagreb and Salzburg in the first 2.
Tough games.
But
I think you win tonight.
You win tonight, then he's got another 2 games to mix it about a little bit and experiment and give more minutes to a few players. Maybe Borja come in and big test tonight. And I think
it's going to be
San Siro, completely different to the first.
Arsenal got a win there, didn't they? Within the last 20 years, you were there.
We've had 2.
Are you both there together?
Yeah.
We were there. Well, we beat them. Was it 1-0 or 2? Fabregas scored.
Fabregas 2-0.
Fabregas banged one in from about 35 yards, and then we went there.
We actually lost 4-0 there as well.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Was that the year, the one you won? Was that when you got to the final?
Yeah, I think
the Barcelona final. Was that the same year or not?
No, I'm not sure it was. I think it was after that. I think it wasn't long after that.
Fabregas had a Adebayor.
We went there a few years ago when
it was after because Adebayor was there.
We went there a few years ago when we were not great, and we beat them, I think 2-0 with Mkhitaryan scoring twice. Yeah. We were really on a bad run, and Milan were poor, really poor. But it's a good away day, San Siro.
I know.
My brother's there. My brother's going.
I watched the Champions League final, the Madrid final in the San Siro. That was brilliant. They had Atletico wall that side, Real Madrid wall that side, and then the Pens were right there.
But I think
they're getting one of my favourite stadiums.
Yeah, they're getting rid of it though, aren't they? I think they're getting rid of it and putting a new stadium in.
I've heard that for ages though, but they're actually going to knock it down.
I don't know. How do you knock down a San Siro?
Just leave that there. Let one of them have it. Do rock paper scissors for Inter or AC. They can keep that.
That's not a bad shot.
And then someone else can take the other one.
Yeah.
You can't knock down. It's iconic. I don't know why this.
Down the San Siro, can
you?
They need to get a lift in there though to get to the top.
Yeah, it's all walking, isn't it?
Yeah, all spiral. But
so Chelsea doing well. We can confirm that. This is a good time to be on the channel. I hope we actually beat Milan tonight because then you guys will be even more hyped to watch this. But as we segue towards the Arsenal part of the discussion, there have been some comments released from Chelsea's number 9, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, from a while ago. It's not like recent stuff, but we all know how these things work. Videos get perfectly leaked at perfect times just when the build-up to a big game starts to happen. We got you, I think, on the 6th of November, so less than a month away now. Aubameyang was talking about Mikel Arteta, saying how he needs a bunch of young players who just shut their mouths and don't say anything. What do Arsenal fans think about Aubameyang? Because he was so good for you for a long time, and then obviously things from the documentary series again, it looked as though they went very, very south and very sour very quickly.
Yeah.
What kind of feeling is there right now, at least for you two, but amongst Arsenal fans about Aubameyang?
I don't miss him one bit. I mean, when he was there at the start...
You don't now because you're doing good now.
Yeah, no, but at the start when we signed him from Dortmund, this marquee player, like, was over the moon. Couldn't believe our luck of having him. But the team that we had just wasn't good enough. So obviously we looked out for him. He was our star man. You played these games. I remember North London derby against Spurs. He got dropped away. Apparently he was sat in traffic in his car an hour before kickoff or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like...
I don't know why I'm laughing. He's our player now. We'll expect this soon as well.
And just reports of him being late all the time, training, everything, attitude. And you watch the documentary and you see this, like, it happens a lot, and he's had so many warnings, fined, and it just keeps happening. Like, I mean, when you have got these young players coming through and they're looking up to players like Aubameyang, he can't be doing this. He was meant to be our captain, setting an example.
Exactly that, set an example.
So
For me, I think this really allows Mikel Arteta to turn around and say, I've made the right decision.
Oh, it vindicates it for sure.
Vindicates him. I think it's a childish comment from Aubameyang.
I mean, if you look at the end of last season and us not making the top four, would we have made it with Aubameyang, like, with his experience last year?
I would still say no, because I think Arteta did the right thing at the time, because there was clearly a problem with the player as a senior player in the dressing room when you've got to, if you guys would have just turned up for one more result in that season, you got top four and we're talking a totally different story.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you keep him there and you don't exile him when you did, I think that things get even more south, especially with a senior player who does obviously have like a big personality pool in the dressing room. He would gravitate players towards him, and it becomes like who's Arteta's boys and who's Aubameyang's boys, and then next thing you know, you're fighting for 7th instead of 4th with 2 games to go.
But to be honest, I don't think he's like a bad egg or anything like that in the dressing room. Everyone speaks so highly of him, and they love having him around and his energy and everything like that. I think it's just a case of his attitude, just late for training.
Yeah.
He knew he was the star in the team, so he's probably more relaxed. I'm going to get played every 90 minutes every game, and it's more that attitude. It weren't a case of him like having fallouts with other players and things like that. So.
But I think going back to that comment which he raised, to some extent, it's probably right. He was one of the senior players. We brought through a lot of youngsters, and Arteta, his first role in management, what was easier to try and bring those youngsters through or try and manage experienced players? It probably is youngsters.
Yeah.
Right? To some extent, I agree with what he says, but I think this really kind of sums him up. He can be brilliant, but then he'll just maybe potentially do something stupid or say something stupid that just gets people on his back. To say something like that, and it was clearly in a private conversation, so I'd imagine he's probably a bit pissed off.
But that's the thing I don't understand. Imagine being there and you're saying these things. It's just quite soon after. Who's got the phone out?
Exactly.
How is he not looking around the room, being like, if I was. It's like when you want to say something bad about the missus, but you want to make sure she's actually left the house. Like, you don't just shout it to the boys straight away.
Or someone's filming it on Instagram or something. You're asking them to not put it up. So it's always one of those. I find it a bit odd that it got released.
Would you not think with Aubameyang's character, maybe he kind of knew and wanted it to be?
Exactly. Exactly. Is there
set up a little camera like we've got here now, sat down.
We're just gonna get this one out in a few months.
And he was obviously a little bit salty coming. We've just sold him to whatever we did to Barcelona. We didn't get any money for it.
Yeah. And then Chelsea end up buying him from Barcelona.
Yeah, Barca did well out of it.
Well, they need to do well out of something. They can't afford to pay their flipping players, so they need some money from somewhere.
They've done all right out of it, but I think he's just a little bit salty. I think it obviously went a bit sour between him and Arteta. Arteta really wanted to lay his stall out, set an example, and sometimes that's what you do. Alex Ferguson used to do it back in the day. As soon as a player got a bit too big for their boots, Beckham, Van Nistelrooy, Yapstam, out they went. Wenger did it with Fabregas, with Vieira, with Henry. As soon as they weren't there, they went. And I think Arteta's done the same with Aubameyang. Right, you're not 100% focused. Right, this is a chance for me to set an example. And he has set an example, right? Because now, if any player doesn't buy in, and he always says that, I want people to buy in to what we're doing, which is working hard and being there on time. You know, he would be there on time. The cleaners on time, no exception for the players. So I think he set his stall out. I agree with it, and I think the comments and the way we're playing now really vindicates what we did.
Yeah, I think if you didn't get top 4 and then you just started this season the way you've started other seasons, it would still be a bit like, well, how has he ended up at bloody Chelsea then? People would be looking at Arsenal thinking we screwed this one up here. Now we're even further away from Chelsea because we've just given a potentially 20-goal a season striker. I think he's done quite well so far at Chelsea, to be fair, because no one can underestimate like the mental side of what happened to him when he was still in Barcelona with the robbery, the break-in, and I think smashed his jaw up or something.
True.
And he started well, to be fair. And I think with Potter as well, it could be interesting if we do see chopping and changing. If Havertz keeps scoring, Broja keeps scoring goals, and maybe Sterling needs a rest because Sterling plays a lot of football. So you could see Aubameyang out on the left. When's the Arsenal-Chelsea game? Is it at Emirates, the first one, or at Bridge?
Emirates, I think.
So Emirates. Yeah. That changes.
But I think his mindset has to be different now. Going to Chelsea, he's been released by Arsenal, released by Barcelona.
Yeah.
He's obviously thinking now, okay, if I want to play football, I've got to improve. Because when
it's last chance saloon, really.
Yeah, when he was at
top level, he's got to grow up, innit? At some point.
When he's at Arsenal, there's no doubt that he's sitting around the dressing room having a look and thinking, what am I going to achieve here with these players? Like,
that's fair.
They're young players. We're not going to win the Premier League, and he probably knew that. And he's just like, what am I doing here?
Going through the motions.
You want good players with you, and we have good youngsters or whatever, but last year they weren't ready.
Yeah.
And we needed experience and to bring in more experienced players like we have done this year in Jesus and Zinchenko. But Aubameyang knew that for sure, and with his attitude, like now, being at Chelsea, he looks around that dressing room, he sees Thiago Silva.
Yeah, like, he's no longer the big dog, is he, really?
No, yeah, that's a fair point.
So his mentality straight away is going to be different. So I don't expect him to be turning up late every week, and his mentality for sure is going to be different.
He's going to have to grow up at some point, hasn't he? He can't just... At some point, the clock will like tick in his head and go, right, I need to start behaving a bit better.
Yeah.
I think you make a good point around he's left Arsenal, he's left Barca. A bit of a question mark on him now. Right, you can't just keep going through these clubs because at some point you go, well, is it the clubs or is it the player?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's just going through clubs, messing up and then getting a lower move and then everyone's like, oh, actually, he's still pretty good, and then he gets a big move again. He's a big club.
Everyone wants a goal scorer. Yeah. Every club is looking for goals. And to be fair...
let's not forget what he did at Dortmund as well.
He scores goals.
Yeah, man scored like nearly 300 career goals or 300 plus or something.
He scores goals. The goal at Palace was a good goal. Really good goal. You're 1-0 down away from home. You're up against it, bang, goal. And that's what he's good at. That's never ever been in doubt. It's that all-round play. Can he hold the ball up? Can he be busy? But if you put the ball in the box and give him chances, he will score.
So do you think mentality-wise, from what you know about him, obviously you probably still know a lot more about the man, the player, than Chelsea fans do, would you say that he would get a start against Arsenal? If you were Graham Potter, would you, regardless of let's say the game was this weekend.
I honestly would play Havertz.
You play Havertz. I think I would probably do the same against Arsenal, actually.
I think he'd cause us more problems. I really do.
Yeah, in the air against Gabriel and Saliba for sure.
I would go Havertz. But it's interesting because a lot of teams this year have been going very direct against us and trying to put the ball over our centre-half's head, which probably suits Aubameyang a little bit more than Havertz. So it'll be interesting to see how you approach the game. If you're looking for more of a counter-attacking, get the ball forward early like some teams have against us, or more of a possession game, then I think that might determine who plays. But if you're playing on Saturday, you'd go tried and tested with Havertz. Yeah,
it's a weird one though for Chelsea fans because we keep saying Havertz isn't a striker. We've discussed it here in these exact chairs of the 1.5
It'd be good to know what everybody thinks.
Who plays tonight?
Tonight in the Champions League, I think Aubameyang plays tonight.
You think?
I think we should go with exactly the same formation, almost the same lineup as we did in the first game, because we did batter them. They were awful, but we were very, very comfortable. I think positionally, the way it lined up, Reece James against Leao, there isn't a better wing back in the world to deal
James
with someone like that.
James is unbelievable.
He's phenomenal. I mean, Ben White as well. I mentioned him in a video the other day, and the comments went mad at me saying, how can you even possibly suggest that Ben White is challenging Reece James? But I think Southgate might have looked at Reece James is a potential right centre-back because of how many wing-backs we've got. But I'd say now, if you get White overlapping Reece James, mate, the way he's doing now for Arsenal...
Ben White...
Give us a trophy now.
He could be in the back three, the right side of that back three.
He should be, I think.
If Ben White doesn't go to the World Cup, I lose all faith in Southgate.
Yeah,
Walker
agreed.
as well. Walker's
out, isn't he? He's injured, he's not going.
Well, they reckon that he might be back for the World Cup, but
he's not going to be match ready the way that all these players will be.
I don't think he'd have had the surgery before the World Cup if he weren't going to get back in time for it.
Yeah.
I don't know how
knows?
much, but there's talk of him getting back for it, but I think Reece James has to play.
Absolutely. You
Oh,
can't
he
not
will.
have him in the team.
Yeah. He will.
Even if he's in central midfield, he's got to play. He's got to play somewhere.
But going back to the point, it'd be good to know what people think, Havertz or Aubameyang.
So moving as well into another Arsenal-Chelsea crossover topic. You really wanted this one because I've not read much about this because I like to avoid all news about Kante leaving Chelsea at all costs because it is going to feel like an Eden Hazard departure. Very, very sad. But Kante to Arsenal has been doing the rounds, you tell me, Joshy boy. Tell me more.
The rumour mill has been going about Kante to Arsenal. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say my sources because I don't have any sources.
Or maybe you do. If you do, then it'd be a great time for it.
Well, who knows? But Kante's in his last year of his contract, right?
Yep.
So, question marks over whether Chelsea are going to offer him a new contract. If they are going to offer him a new contract, how long is it going to be? Is there an opportunity for him to come to Arsenal? I hope so. And I would take him all day long.
For a 30-plus player, if you don't sign a new deal as well, you are going to get an absolute bargain. Whether or not he only plays 10 games a season or not, you know those 10 games you're probably going to win all 10.
He's not getting many minutes at Chelsea at the minute.
Is he injured?
He's been injured, to be fair. It's not because he's not being picked, because I think everybody knows when he's fit,
he starts.
He starts and he always performs. And I think the reason why his quality last season probably wasn't as good as all of those man of the match performances in the run up to us winning the Champions League was because Kante was just perfect in all of those big knockout games. But then the injuries, that's the thing. Like, Arsenal fans could be excited about getting Kante, but the way that he's played, the way that we all know he's been playing since even before he signed for Leicester, when he was in France, it was the same style, it was the same mentality. But I think now maybe it's caught up with him.
Maybe.
So would you want to risk it?
It's one of those.
Big wages too.
Big wages, but if you're getting him on a free, then that kind of gives you a little bit of a buffer, right? Because you would be spending maybe 15 million on him. So you can kind of put that towards wages. It's one of the areas that we need to strengthen, in my opinion, is to get another one or two high-quality centre midfielders, especially when it comes to second half of the season.
Especially with Partey with his injuries.
Yeah, exactly. So
Kante to come straight in.
If we could get Kante on a 2-year deal, you know, potentially paying him decent wages, then I think it's a fantastic move for the club, and I'd have him. And from what I see, and Chelsea fans probably know more than me as well, he looks like a fantastic example, role model person to have around as well.
I think it gets overplayed. Like, everyone always says, like, look how much he smiles. I mean, if you're a footballer, you're going to be smiling quite a lot. I think it gets overdone, but I do absolutely not underestimate just how many footballers in the world, be it French national team players, players at Leicester, players at Chelsea, have got nothing but good words to say about him.
Exactly.
And when you look at the big games, you know, even I think in games against Arsenal in the past, he's been phenomenal. You guys haven't
remember him having a bad game.
But if Kante is going to come back in, like, who will drop out? Jorginho?
For Chelsea. I think Jorginho is, as much as he can play well, vice captain as well. You've got to respect the man. He's won a Champions League at the club. But he, for me, has been on his last legs at Chelsea in that midfield for a while. You know, there's talks of January, we want Alvarez from Ajax. Great player, defensive-minded as well. A better player than Jorginho, in my opinion, already.
He's a big old guy, that Alvarez, Mexican guy.
He's a brick.
Yeah.
He's a big brick. He comes straight in. And then we're talking next summer, and I do believe we'll get either one of these players, Bellingham or Rice. I think we'll get one.
Rice is the one.
Rice is the one.
But then if you are going to go for someone like Rice, then why offer Kante another contract?
True.
You know?
That's the thing. He wants a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
So if you get Rice, you're probably not going to offer injury-prone Kante 2 years, which means at this point, like, surely he's going to Arsenal.
But is it one of those?
We just spoke as well, like Gallagher. Where do you play him? 6, 8, and if you've got Kante there, you've got to think about these younger players like Gallagher as well.
Yeah, no, that's very fair.
So you've got to think about the minutes that you want to give him.
I just can't
But
see
is it one of those where you're kind of, to some extent, happy for Kante to leave. You're just extremely, it's not sad, but you'd be a bit frustrated if he went to Arsenal rather than another club somewhere else.
Definitely that. If he was to go anywhere, if he was to go PSG, I'd be like, mate, go and enjoy it. Go to Paris. You're French. Enjoy your capital city, mate, and go out for some nice dinners. And just don't ever play against us again, hopefully, unless we play in Champions League final against PSG.
Yeah.
Like, I do not want to see him play for Arsenal because, like you say, that is what you need. You need a player like N'Golo Kante. It's the perfect mould.
We would take him, and we've had a few.
He wouldn't get in the starting team though at the moment.
As long as he's no Willian.
They're very confident.
As long as he's no Willian or Petr Cech. Cech was pony for us.
And Willian, the worst. I don't know.
Maybe the worst Arsenal signing ever, perhaps.
He's up there.
I don't know what happened to him. He was like unbelievable for Chelsea for years.
I remember watching Willian the season before against Tottenham, and he was unbelievable.
Oh, I was at that game. He scored both.
Yeah, I was like, if he's coming to us, I'll have a bit of that all day long. And he was awful. I don't think he even got a goal or assist for us.
No, the first game we played Fulham away.
Yeah,
I think he got 3 assists. I think.
I don't know.
Was that the first? Was that his debut?
Yeah, on his debut.
Well, we won 5-1 or
what a mug.
Yeah, and everyone was going
Everyone
crazy.
bought into it.
I think he swung a corner in and we scored from it or whatever. Everyone was going mad, and then after.
Honestly, he looked like he'd been having beers with the boys. I'll tell you that much before a game.
If you're bored, Willian, if Fulham's not doing it for you, there's a space next to me.
Yeah,
he does put on a bit of timber. He was like.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, speaking of something that doesn't look like it's going to timber anytime soon, Arsenal are top of the league, boys. You are currently stood on top of some steel pillars.
8 wins.
There's no timber happening here, is there?
8 wins out of 9.
And again, I thought we deserved the win. First half, got our goal early, and sometimes you can score a bit too early. It was kind of like England in the Euros final, where we went 1-0 up, and that maybe calmed us down a little bit, but not in a good way, because I think we're a lot of high energy and pressing.
Yeah.
Liverpool came into the game, and to be honest, last 20 minutes of the first half were probably the better team. But then we just looked so lively going forward, especially Martinelli against Trent. We don't need to be controlling the game to just be able to create an opportunity. Bang, we score, and then second half.
It was a case of like, once we scored that first one, it's like, get another one now. Like, in first 5 minutes, I thought, one thing I did notice, like, scoring in the first minute, the stadium was full. Like,
there's a big excitement.
And normally, like, you get in 3-4 minutes late, and, like, most people normally miss that goal. But because, like, the
Gary missed it.
Yeah, Gary missed it. Yeah, Gary
the excitement around the stadium, everything, like, the buzz around the place. Everyone's in the seats before the game, like, massive game. And, like, 2-3 years ago, half that stadium had been empty.
The atmosphere has been amazing.
Yeah,
this year.
exactly.
It sounds it even through the TV, to be fair. Like, pains me to say it, but I think there was the two main things I think Arsenal fans, if I was an Arsenal fan, which obviously, evidently I'm not, what I would be very happy with from that game is that A, Liverpool didn't play badly. No. Liverpool played well, better than they've done in more than half the games I've seen them play this season. And B, the one thing that has impressed me about Arsenal this season has been the partnership between Saliba and Gabriel. And they didn't play well either. And you still beat Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. But it really it shows how far we've come. And you look at the tactics we had as well. And we were watching the game. Saka was narrowing off a lot to try and stop Thiago getting on the ball. So you can really see we have a clear game plan when we're coming up against these sides.
Yeah.
And
give Martinelli the ball.
Give Martinelli.
For sure.
I mean, if you're playing against Trent right now, if you're Trent and you're not playing well, the one player in the league you do not want to come up against is Martinelli.
But I think even when he was playing well, we were just like Martinelli. Even last year when we played them, like what he did to
Martinelli was unbelievable last year against them.
It was good against Chelsea too, when you battered us at the bridge.
But you know, again, another feather in Arteta's cap is at half time. I thought, we were 2-1, but I thought, you know what, they actually looked a bit better in the first half. Yeah. Second half,
we were lucky to get the goal when we did, just like you against.
And Saka didn't play well, I don't think, until then either. I think he was struggling
until then.
Yeah.
But what he does, he keeps the ball very well. So if he ain't playing well, he doesn't lose the ball.
Yeah.
He keeps the ball well and just keeps possession. And he, even when he's not playing great, he still puts in a good performance.
Yeah. But second half, we dominated that second half. And when they scored right on out of nothing.
Great goal.
First time they were in a half.
Really good goal.
Oh, really good finish.
But I think that helps as well because like Liverpool with Núñez coming in and they don't know their best front three really. They almost played all 4 of them, didn't they? Jota, Núñez.
Yeah.
Diaz and Salah.
And they were just trying to lump it over our defence.
It almost looked like Arsenal were playing the Klopp kind of press, 10x better than Liverpool were. Liverpool looked as though when they had the ball, they looked good. I thought there were a lot of times where they were stuck in pockets, and sometimes Partey won it for Arsenal. Sometimes they managed to get out of it and create something from it. But when you lot had the ball, there was nothing. And I mean, like one of the craziest things I thought was Tomiyasu. I was talking to Gary this morning. Gary's a friend of ours, and he was saying about how Tomiyasu isn't even left-footed.
No, he's not.
And he puts Mo Salah on the bench after, 65, 70 minutes?
Yeah.
But again,
that's outrageous.
But again, what is going on at Liverpool? It's for Salah to come off after 60 minutes.
When you need a goal. That's the bit
really
that
odd.
don't quite...
He's not, but he's your main man. He's the one who's going to get you a goal. You take him off.
Well, you're looking for something out of nothing when you're playing against an Arsenal team who have got the bit between their teeth. You're winning games of football. You've already seen it this season from Fulham's first one that comes in my head. You can score a late one if you're desperate to do so. How on earth can Jurgen Klopp justify taking off a man who has arguably been the best goal scorer in the world for the past 6 years? Like it's one of top
I agree.
5.
You know, and I hope Tomiyasu emptied his pockets after the game and he was in there.
He was fantastic. Everyone from Arsenal was brilliant.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Yeah, it was. It was another good performance. It was another. It wasn't. We've nicked the win. You know, we deserved the win. We've played against a top side. Again, deserved the win. So you know, we're here. We're there now.
We've just got so many players like fighting for their positions, and we've got depth for the first time. I mean, Tomiyasu, like unbelievable last year for us when he come in. He's had a few injuries, but Ben White's been playing out right back. And
he's been brilliant, by the way.
Yeah. I think he's excellent.
He's been brilliant.
I really do think he's one of your best players.
He is the most. If anyone hasn't seen the interview with him after the game, there's like a 2-minute interview of him after the game, and honestly, it looks like he doesn't even care.
No, but he don't like football, does he?
He
doesn't like football.
Honestly, the interview is just like.
It's madness.
Yeah, we played well. Honestly, it looks like he's on the beach somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think that actually contributes to why he's such a good player, because I'm not saying he isn't really focused on the game. He clearly is, but he clearly doesn't go home and worry about it too much. He turns up, he plays, he does what he needs to do, he goes home, and I think it's actually a good mental state to be in.
Yeah, because he can turn up with a clear head, and if he's being asked to do right back positions, you know, like he can do it all. And that's the thing. He keeps being. I mean, Thiago Silva did it the other day when he got the Aubameyang assist. He's up there next to Aubameyang. I'm like, what the bloody hell's Thiago Silva doing up here? But Ben White, when you look at the way Arsenal attack, he's always one of the most advanced players. It's very, very smart what Arteta's doing, because he's overloading those wings massively.
And it just gives more freedom to the likes of Saka.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Ben White's technical ability is really underrated. You know, his touch, his passing.
Well, he can play in the centre mid.
But again, you know, this is what I'm going on. If he's not in the World Cup squad, when he can play centre half, right back, centre mid, I mean, you know, he's got to be there. Yeah. He's got to be. He's been as good as anybody else for Arsenal this season.
Do you reckon? I think next week we should do a tier list where we've all got to agree on Southgate's squad.
I mean, we might need to book this for 2 hours then.
We might. That's a debate.
and 3 if we get the beers back. But
I think for that one, it's got to be beers, because there's going to be arguments in there, I think, for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Guys, let us know in the comments. Beers, no beers. What do you prefer? Do you prefer... This has actually, I think, been far better podcast than the first one. By the way, I think this has been excellent. Beers or no beers? What do you think? 3 more points, I think we'll stick with the title, but we'll go with that.
Or any other drink of choice. We're open.
We could do a Lawrence Benson. We could bring in some Indonesian liquid cuisine. So bun the arak, boys. Not on Tuesdays.
Google search
what
arak.
What are they going to be doing in Qatar for the fan zones?
Water is what I've heard on the grapevine so far.
And that's why I'm not going.
Used to it.
That's why we're staying here. Yeah. All right. So we said at the beginning, can anyone catch City? You corrected me, as you should, because Arsenal are top of the league, saying, can anyone catch Arsenal? I think we have to immediately say Erling Haaland probably could by himself, as well as with his teammates. But are you actually confident that you can win the league? Like, considering it's a great start. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't like Arsenal. I'm a Chelsea fan. I don't like City either, just because I think I think the Etihad is dead atmosphere stadium, and I just think there's more heritage and history in other football clubs in the Premier League. But they're very good, and I still think they're probably better.
Top 4, not get carried away too much.
That's balanced. I like that. That's good.
That's a bit safety, that.
No, but I will take top 4.
He also said a minute ago, yeah, we were good when you beat Liverpool 3-2. It's not like we were brilliant.
If you look at the table still, like Man United have got a game in hand. If they win that, they'd be 6 points behind.
Yeah.
Tottenham, they're still not far behind. Man
Playing
City,
bad football, though, isn't they?
Exactly. But and then you've got Man City. You've got teams that still like 2 bad performances, and we could have like teams right on us.
City just look unbelievable, don't they?
I think they're probably the best football team I've ever seen, if I'm honest.
It's actually not really fair how good they're looking at the moment. Who knows? If Haaland gets injured, who knows? You know, and that's, I think, for me, I remember when Leicester went and won the league, and everyone was going, there's absolutely no chance they're going to do it.
This is what I mean. We've seen Leicester do it, so I think that gives us hope.
Yeah.
I don't think you can rule us out. I think right now,
can't rule
say City are the favourites, but football's football. Haaland could get injured, De Bruyne could get injured, and all of a sudden there's a completely different team. So who knows?
I mean, just keep going game by game, as they say, but see where we are.
But we've got a good run of fixtures now, haven't we? We've got Leeds. I think we've got Leeds.
But then we had good run
Southampton.
of fixtures when we f***ed it up last time.
Well, true.
But if you look at who's played the big boys so far, you've played more of the bigger teams than anyone else.
United, Liverpool.
And everyone's saying, "Oh,
we went Stamford Bridge, beat Chelsea."
We always do well at Stamford Bridge, by the way.
There's been, especially over the last 15 years, you've actually scored multiple 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
A couple of times, I think.
Yeah,
the Van Persie Walcott one, wasn't it?
Always good game. Always good games, aren't they? At the Bridges in particular.
Arsenal, they just look so well drilled.
I mean,
but you know what?
I fancy us to beat anyone at home. But,
what is it, 9 wins in a row at home now?
Chelsea are that sort of side. Chelsea, and obviously this is a different Chelsea to maybe Tuchel's Chelsea. They always seem to do well against a side who's maybe a bit more fluent and a bit more attacking minded.
Yeah.
Liverpool, I knew they would be a good team for us because I knew they're not going to sit in. They're going to try and score. They're going to try and play.
They're going to try
which allows
you.
us to try and play. Chelsea is going to probably not be as a nicer game for the neutral because you're probably going to try and just sit in a bit like Tottenham did.
Yeah, I was going to say like Spurs did. Spurs had chances. But that could have gone like the other way.
Well, United did it to us, didn't they? United just sat in and hit us on the counter and they beat us. Tottenham could have created a bit more, but
I think that United game though, if you were to play that game out in a similar vein 5 times, I still think you probably would have won that 3 out of 5.
Yeah. But this is. But again, if you're Tottenham, right? They're setting up against us, thinking, we might not win every game playing this way, but who knows? We could actually nick a result here. Yeah. And Chelsea, they're not going to come out and open.
I think Tottenham had to play that way. That's how they play.
Well, they can't do anything else.
They do that against every team.
Yeah. So
if they don't win anything this year, it's going to be over because Conte's not going to stay, having not won a single trophy, and maybe Spurs fans will be bored of it too.
I think Spurs fans already are a little bit bored of it.
I think so too.
And I would be as well.
But you've got this Sunday, Man City Liverpool. So
big game. Will Klopp be sacked? Because they will get beat, Liverpool.
They can't sack him.
But I was looking tonight about having a little bet on the Man City game.
Here he is.
What?
Come out. You said earlier.
But having a little look, and you're just thinking, what City team's gonna?
They're 10-1 on to beat Copenhagen.
But you're looking at like -3,
How many bags
-4.
you got, guy, mate?
-3, -4. That's what you look at these days with City.
We are actually out of time, guys. So naturally, we have to wrap the podcast up now. Guy, Josh, this has been a pleasure, boys.
Been good. Enjoyed it.
A very good episode.
That time has flown by.
It really has. If you guys want to go and follow both Guy and Josh, I will leave links to their Instagram in the description. When Arsenal lose, go and send them shit. And if they win, you can be polite or just not say anything.
And I'll send you shit.
We're all Chelsea here, so it is what it is. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Come on, you Blues.